Welcome to today's presentation. This is Getting Started with Adobe Acrobat and Acrobat Sign. It's now my pleasure to turn the floor over to your first presenter for today. That is Tony Lista. He is Document Cloud National Sales Manager, Education with Adobe. Welcome, Tony.
Well, thank you, Phil. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. As Phil said, I'm Tony Lista. I'm in the Boston area today, and on behalf of Adobe, thank you very much for joining us. Today, the topic is getting started with Adobe Acrobat and Sign. We're excited to show newer users and more experienced users the basic features of Acrobat and Sign, including administration, Sign and Acrobat user interface, and some very cool demos. My colleague Alex Page will be showing the demos. I'm setting things up this morning. Okay. Before we get started, I'd like to learn a little. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about some additional sessions that you might have an interest in looking at. On the left-hand side of the screen, on demand, these are the sessions that are available on demand during your free time. I'd like to point out a couple of them that I think are exceptionally well done and well suited for our clients. Adobe Acrobat Sign and Microsoft. Our native integrations with Acrobat and Sign make those shops that are Microsoft shops very appealing synergies between the two products. And then right below that one is Acrobat and Sign, Workday, and integrations. So for those of you that have made the leap to a new ERP system, I happen to use Workday because it's a product that Adobe also uses. Think faculty and staff or employee onboarding process and how much easier that could be speeded up. So take a look at those on-demand programs. I think you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of that, a lot of help for those of you that are more experienced users. And then looking forward in October and November, we've got some two programs that we think will be exciting to you as well. So as you begin to use the products, come back and visit with us and look at these additional programs. Before we get started today, I'd like to get a sense for who we're speaking with. So if you could give me a sense for where you work, your experience level with the products, and what you're looking to get out of this session today, it'd be great. As is usually the case, we have a large number of IT people. Thank you for coming, but it looks like we have a good group of user people from the HR finance areas, and it looks like a large segment of you are active users in Acrobat. That's terrific. And intermediate and beginners, terrific, very good. Good mix of people, and I think those of you that have shared with you what you're looking for will get an enormous benefit out of this program, and we appreciate it. Okay, so jumping forward. So even though the session is getting started with Adobe Acrobat and Sign, what we'd like you to do is to think about the products that you're currently using and the power of digital transformation. And as we walk through these setup slides, and later on when my colleague Alex shows you the demo, think about how you can get the benefit out of digital transformation in your institution, organization, or district. So what is digital transformation? It means different things to different businesses and industries. Some think of it as simply converting paper to digital documents. Others think of it as incorporating electronic signatures in the process. And still others think of robust workflows where digital documents are connected to various critical enterprise systems like your ERP system, your Microsoft system, or even your Salesforce system for complete automation of digital document workflows. Wherever you are in the digital transformation process, we feel comfortable that Adobe Sign and Acrobat will help you get there. And hopefully when Alex provides you a demo, you'll get some ideas on where you can begin this journey. So for those of you that are beginning the paperless journey and those of you that have already started, what do you need to consider? What are the things that you should be thinking about to get the most bang out of these products and get the most bang in your organization for digital transformation. What I ask you to think about is to think about a typical document journey in your organization. Think about how every stage of that document takes place, from the time that the document is first built to how it needs to be collaborated on with others inside or outside your organization. Who needs to sign it? What additional content needs to be added to that? And ultimately where that document lands, whether or not it lands in an archive system or in your email system. Think about your teams and think about how your teams and colleagues and the documents that they use and how those documents move inside and outside of your organization. Now consider how much easier it would be to automate some of that work. That's business transformation, and that's where Adobe can help. When you switch to digital document workflows, what you're doing is you're automating and making things more efficient. I'm going to pick on the education industry just for a moment. We did a study with Forrester Consulting in 2019 and 2020. And what they found is that as much as 80% of the workflows in education, think K-12 and higher ed, are still done with paper documents. So what I'm going to ask you to do again today as we look at these demos and consider the work that you have ahead of you is think about automating that and taking that information and moving it to an electronic process. Think how IEPs, parent authorizations, student services, dean authorizations, fundraising, constituent engagement can all be handled more effectively and efficiently in your organization if you use electronic workflows. Some more information just to kind of get you to think about it. Some of us like to look at this from a purely efficiency and ROI. I know that's not always the case, but this is good information to have for you to consider. 40% of all documents that you open today in your email system, whether or not it's Outlook or Google, 40% of those documents are PDFs. So if you can think about what went into putting together those PDFs and how it might be easier for you to automate things, just think about how often you touch those forms in that format, and then think about how much easier it would be to keep that automation process occurring. The other thing that I'd like you to think about is how much time and money you can save. Again, Forrester helped us out with this consulting work, 2019, 2020. And this is across all industries, not necessarily education, not necessarily nonprofit, or not necessarily commercial, all businesses. When they moved to digital documents using electronic features of Acrobat or Sign, these organizations on average saw a 30% increase in transaction speed, $17.50 average savings per electronic document, and an 85% reduction in errors. The industries that we work in, education, nonprofits, have a significant compliance requirement. So think about the fact of the errors that are occurring today and how by electronically digitizing these processes, we can control those errors. It'll be an improvement for your organization, an improvement for efficiency, an improvement for in terms of money. And so these are typically the motivators that our clients tell us help us to look at these tools for their business transformation. Some areas for you to consider. I just put this little eye chart up here because these are some areas where our clients tell us that electronic documents like PDF forms and electronic signatures with Sign help out. They help out in staff management. They help out in operations, vendor agreements, finance, the student and alumni. and you'll find enormous capabilities. I oftentimes say that when our clients start with one of these processes in one of their business areas, it becomes a Pied Piper, because once your colleagues start seeing how much easier your work is, they will also adopt these tools. So you'll enjoy it, and so will your colleagues. Some last comments to make, and these are feedback from our clients that are using these products, is that they're easy to use. Those of you that are already using Creative Cloud will find the user interface very easy, very similar. From a security standpoint, we developed the security format for PDFs. There's nobody that does security better than us. From an accessibility side standpoint, think of your student learners that may have challenges with reading, or think of individuals that are sight impaired. We have enormous accessibility capabilities in our PDF and Sign programs that allow those with challenges to not only use these products, but to use them effectively and efficiently. Deep integrations, I mentioned Microsoft. We're natively integrated. ERP, CRM, document archive systems, and a whole bevy of other legacy systems that you enjoy. Our system, our PDF and our Sign have those integrations and can allow you end-to-end documents processing. So again, we encourage you to take advantage of that. Okay, you're probably all done listening to me set things up, and you want to actually get to the meat of it. So I'm at this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Alex Page. Alex will give you a demo, show you some of the great features that I just discussed, and feel free to ask questions. Myself and one of my colleagues that work with clients will answer your questions. And without further ado, Alex, take it up.
Sure. Hello, everybody. So just to encapsulate a little bit about what Tony was saying, using Adobe Acrobat and Acrobat Sign, it's going to enable you to experience all that power of Adobe's Document Cloud, meaning you can create a document lifecycle that's contained in one ecosystem, from scanning to creating to protecting PDFs, to using multiple file types, to manipulating your documents, having real-time collaboration, to collecting legal signatures, even to storing your documents. And all this and more is possible with the synergy of Adobe Acrobat and Acrobat Sign. But before your end users can use the applications, you first need to entitle them in the Adobe Admin Console. So I'm going to cover that process briefly. I do know I've got some IT folks on the call, so I want to touch on that entitlement at a pretty high level. Secondly, I'll show you around the Acrobat Sign UI and show off some of Acrobat's features. And then thirdly, I want to show some features that are both available in Acrobat and Acrobat Sign, like the ability to send for legal signatures. So I'll talk about the commonalities that these apps share, and then I'm going to do a deeper dive into Acrobat Sign, which does allow you to send for signatures, as that name implies, but it does so much more. So there's a lot to go over, and I'll keep it a pretty high level, but my goal today for you is to walk away with a firm understanding of not only how easy it is to enable these applications, but also how user-friendly yet powerful they are to accomplish all that you need to do throughout your documents lifecycle. Okay, and it all starts here in the Adobe Admin Console. Now, I'm not going to have time to dig too deeply into this console, but in a nutshell, this is where you're going to manage your users. So you'll bring them into the console, you'll assign roles and products to them. This is also where you're going to choose the ID type that you want your end users to use when they're signing into the applications. So either business IDs, enterprise IDs, or federated IDs if you are going to set up single sign-on. There are a lot of features here, but today I'm only going to focus on those that allow you to give your users the permission to use Acrobat and Acrobat Sign. Okay, so I'm here in my Overview tab, and this is where you land when you sign into the Adobe Admin Console. So in here, you're going to see all of the products that you have associated with this plan. You can find information on your pooled storage model. You can see all of the users, admins, and user groups that are associated with this particular agreement. And you can read some blogs, Over here, you've got helpful resource links, and these are going to be used mostly when you're setting up. And then some quick links up here that you can use. And then across the top, you've got your menu bar. So when I go to my Products tab, in the Products tab, this is where I'm going to see all the product cards for all of the products. So with respect, I'm an Acrobat Pro, you'll see the number of licenses that you have purchased versus the number of licenses that you have consumed. And if I click on this Acrobat Pro card, I'm going to see now in the center of my screen an expanded view of the console as it relates to that specific product, Acrobat Pro. On the left-hand side, I'm still going to see all of my products, and I like to point out that I've got Acrobat Pro, Acrobat Sign, and Acrobat Standard all residing in the same console. Now in the center, you'll be able to see your product profiles, and you can make custom profiles, but for now you only see in blue this default profile that's associated with this plan. Now the purpose of a profile is to be used to entitle users to have Acrobat or Acrobat Sign by assigning it to users or user groups. That's what gives them the right to use the applications. And I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. But I'm moving over to my Users tab at the top. This is where you're going to see all of your users and all of your user groups also. Now, we've got many options to bring users into this Users tab. One, you can add one at a time. For larger schools, that's just not practical, but you can do it. We also do have some other options that you can bring users in bulk. So one ubiquitous tool is our CSV template. This is just a template that you download from the console and you fill it out, and it's going to allow you to mass add, edit, entitle, remove users up to 5,000 at a time. So it can be pretty commonly used. But we have other options also. You go over to the Settings tab. In the Settings tab, this is where you can set up your identity using either enterprise IDs or set up single sign-on using your federated IDs. And setting up your identity just means that you'll create either an enterprise or a federated directory, and then you'll link it with your claim domain. Having said that, I'm always asked, why do I need to set up my identity? And the reason is that because your end users are now going to use these email addresses that are associated with your domain to access the applications. So if I want to create a directory, I'll go to Create Directory, and I can choose Enterprise or Federated. For today, I'm going to choose Federated. So you just give it a name and choose the box. And now when I hit Next, now I can see these three widgets that we have that make setting up single sign-on super quick, super easy. So if you use Microsoft Azure, you can use the Azure connector. This will just prompt you to log into Azure, and 4 or 5 clicks later, your single sign-on is set up. Same thing if you use Google. You can use the Google connector, hit Next. It'll prompt you to go through the processes for that. And you may have other SAML 2.0 providers that you like to use. You can certainly do that. You hit Next here. It'll give you all the information on the metadata, for instance, that you need to set that up. So all of these methods that I just talked about will allow you to bring users into the Adobe Admin Console where IT can entitle them to have Acrobat or Acrobat Sign. But we do have one more way that we can have users get access to the products. Over here under the Process Access Automation tab, we have this feature called Zero Touch Administration. And that's going to allow end users to self-entitle. Now, they'll only be able to do that if IT does set those permissions that will allow them to do that. So for IT to entitle users, not using Zero Touch, it's really just a 3-step process. First, I'll go to my Users tab, and then I can create a user group. Creating a user group is very simple. I'll just call this one EDU. That's all there is to creating a group. Now I can go to the 3rd step, and that is to assign a profile to the group. So I'll click on my group name, come over to my Assign Product Profiles, and then grab it through this blue button. Under the plus sign, if I select this, this is going to show all of the products that I have with this particular product plan, and also any additional profiles I would make. So for today, I'll give them Acrobat Pro and Acrobat Sign and hit Save. Okay, now I can see under this group, the EDU group, both of these profiles are there. So any user that is now placed into this group by any of those methods that I just talked about, they're going to receive access to these great applications. And And that's all you need to do from an IT perspective to entitle your users. Okay, now your user's entitled. Let's take a look at the Acrobat Pro UI. So this is a very, very organized, easy to use UI. So I do like to show it off a bit, but please don't let that ease of use fool you, because there are a ton of features here. And I'm in my desktop version of Acrobat Pro here. So once again, I'm in the top left under the Home tab. This is where you land when you open Acrobat. And across the top, you're going to see some quick links to some of the main tools that we have. So you can edit a PDF, you can create a PDF, combine files, request e-signatures, and also fill and sign. Now on the left-hand menu, I can see all my files. So any recent files, any start files, and these are just files that I have deemed important. I'm going to reference them a lot. I can always just put them in this area and they're easy to access. Also, I can see all of my files that I have saved to the document cloud. So I can see any scans, any files that were shared by me to others or shared by others to me. I'm moving down. I can see all of my signed agreements. So this would integrate my integration. This will take me to my integration with Acrobat Sign. And then under my file storage, we've got a few storage options. You can store locally if you want to. Many people do. I actually store in my OneDrive. But if you go to add file storage here, you can see that you can add storage accounts for Box, for Dropbox, for Google Drive, and OneDrive, which I have, and SharePoint. Okay, moving up here to Tools. This is where you're going to access all your tools for Acrobat. And there is so much versatility here. Actually, it's kind of crazy. Together, these tools, they're going to allow you to create PDFs, combine files. You can organize pages. You can edit PDFs, commonly done. You can export PDFs. You can scan and take advantage of our OCR, our optical character recognition. So if you scan in a document, then OCR can make it a fully functioning PDF. And you can also add rich media. Now, under Forms and Signatures, you can sign and certify in various ways. So you can request e-signatures, you can fill and sign, you can prepare a form, and also add certificates. We also have many ways that you can communicate with and share PDFs, whether you're sending for comments, whether you are commenting yourself, adding a stamp, whether you're comparing files, which I'll show you that in a moment, or using the measure tool. Also, you have many options to protect your PDFs, which I am going to go into detail in a little bit. You can also redact PDFs. You can set your PDF standards. You can optimize your PDF for faster or slower download times. You can also make your images print production ready. So 300 DPI is generally what happens with print. So you can make X1As and make them ready. Also, with our accessibility feature, you can make sure that your information reaches the largest audience possible. And then lastly, down here at the bottom, we do have some customization tools that will allow you to get specific to your goals. So you can create a custom tool set. You have options here to use the action wizard, which will allow you to set up specific behaviors. You can include index and also JavaScript. Now over here on the right-hand panel, you can also, now all these say open because I have them all over here, but it would say add underneath and you can pop them over here. So you can create your own customized menu bars if you want to. Okay, so once again, this UI is super friendly, but it's very versatile also. Now, when you are creating and working with PDFs, having all these right tools, it's definitely essential, but what's equally as important is the ability to not only easily access these tools, but have them at your fingertips no matter where you are. So that way your business keeps moving forward. So now I want to show you the online Acrobat UI as well as the mobile. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so this is my web UI for Acrobat. And you can see Acrobat Online has almost the exact same features as the desktop version. So I can still see all of my recent, starred, and shared files. I still have some quick links to some of my tools. And if I click all tools on the right, I can still see them all. Now they're grouped according to their usage, whether they're desktop tools, mobile tools, or web tools. I always like to keep it on view all because I use them all. So I can see all of my apps grouped accordingly, all of my editing tools, all of my conversion tools. And then down here under my e-sign tools, now I want to talk to you about a little bit of additional features that we have. So you can see the fill and sign and the request signatures functionality that I saw in Acrobat's desktop version. But the online version has 3 additional features that are also part of Acrobat's integration with Acrobat Sign. So I can create a usable template. And this is commonly done when you want to send the same document out to different recipients over the course of time. So make it once, use it over and over again, which I find is very convenient. Also, you can create a web form. And web forms can be inline on a website and accessed by anybody who can access your site. You also, when you're creating a web form, you can generate a URL, and you can always email that to people if you want to. And then lastly, down here, we've got a send in bulk feature, which allows you to create one doc and mass send it to 50 people at once. So these 3 features, they drive your what we call one-to-many use cases. So they're going to save you a lot of time, but at least as importantly, they're going to eliminate the mistakes because they create consistency. Okay, now moving over to my tablet. I'm in Acrobat Online on my tablet, and you can see that this UI is remarkably the same. So I can still see all of my files here. I can see all of my tools. And under Documents, I can still see on the left-hand side all of my storage options that I've got. So your options are many, and they're all accessible from each device. All right, so I just like to show that off. I love the Document Cloud. Everything is always where it's supposed to be, and I can focus on the work no matter where I am, and I can collaborate with others no matter where they are. All right, so let's look at some of Acrobat's features in action. So first thing I'll do is just do a simple edit. So I'll come here, and I'm going to grab a file. I know I've got one in here prepared for you guys. Here it is, NDA template, and I'll open that up. When I open that up, now I can see my editing options across the top. So I can edit this PDF. I can add text. I can add an image. Oh, cancel that. I can also add or remove specific links. I can crop my pages, and I can add, remove, or update any headers or footers. Do the same thing with any watermarks. And then I've got some additional features over here where I can add backgrounds, Bates numbering, attach files, and things like that. And then over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to be able to see all of my formatting tools that I've got. Okay, I can also use this document to have a dialogue with coworkers if I want to. So I can just come up here to my commenting tool. I can click on that, and I can send this out to somebody. I want to know, this is an NDA agreement. I want to know what their thoughts are. Everything looks great. So all I do is post this document. And now in the very, very top right-hand corner, I can select this icon. This is going to allow me to send this out to a coworker. I just need to place in their email address, and I can just send them a quick message, have them review this. I can allow for comments or not allow them to comment. Maybe I just want them to scope it out. And I can also add a deadline. So one of the tenets of both Acrobat, Acrobat Sign, and actually Document Cloud is to keep business moving forward. So adding deadlines helps do that sometimes. And then when I hit send, this just goes out to James T. And it would take a little bit to get there, but he'll get a notification either in Acrobat or in his email or both. And that'll give him the opportunity to react to my comment here. He'll place his comments over here, and thus they have that dialogue. And once the comments are made, it's always going to save back into the shared files folder in my Acrobat account. So all of this happens securely in the Adobe Document Cloud. Okay, I also want to talk about the Protect tool. Protect is important to you. It is hugely important to Adobe also. So I'll grab the same NDA template. Up here in the top center, you can see there's a few ways to protect the PDF. So you can protect using a password, and you can set it for viewing or for editing. And then as you can guess, all you need to do is just make up a password and then retype it. And when you hit apply, that end user now needs to enter that password to access the PDF. Under advanced options, you can encrypt with a password and encrypt with a certificate. And this is going to allow you to still set passwords, but you can restrict certain features such as allowing someone to print or edit that document. Now also at the top, we've got a remove hidden information feature. And you'll find this is really handy. Say you've got a PDF Often the document metadata can list your name as the author, and you might not want that going out into the public. So you can select this to remove any sensitive information. So you can see over here that the tool is finding the information. It's giving me the results of what it has found, and then it gives me the option to remove that also. Now, under advanced options here at the top, you can also refresh any security policies that you've got set up. You can set security policies. You can create security envelopes, and you can also manage your policies. Okay, now that's the Protect tool, and as you can see, it goes a long way to giving you options to protect your PDFs. I give a 1-hour session on just security features of Acrobat, so there are a lot more features that I can cover. Okay, one other tool I want to show you, because it's one of my favorites, is this, the Compare Files tool. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to grab a couple documents. Now what this is an agreement between two parties that defines the scope of work and how much they're going to pay for that scope of work. Now, I've actually seen people hold documents up to the light to address the differences in documents, or they'll lay them side by side and try to compare them. And that's a timely proposition. It also leaves you well open to mistakes. With the compare feature, you just grab the docs and you let Acrobat quickly do the work. So here, immediately, I'll be able to see the number of changes. And then when I come over here to select my first change, it'll tell me specifically what that is. Any other changes, they'll be called out specifically also. So I can click through them. And then when I'm done, I know that I can send this document out for signature with complete confidence in its accuracy. Okay, so that's a quick overview of Acrobat Pro. You can see it's a massively powerful tool, and it even integrates some of the tools like requesting signatures with Acrobat Sign. Okay, having said that, Acrobat Sign is a standalone application, has immense power of its own. So I'm going to show that to you. There are a ton of features here in Acrobat Sign that speak to the flexibility of Acrobat Sign. So you as an administrator, you can take advantage of the breadth of Sign and set up specifically for your use cases. Okay, I always say this is a nicely designed UI, but don't let the use fool you, just like I did with Acrobat. There are a ton of features here. So at the top, you can see your main tabs, and this is where you're going to land. You'll see all your navigation. The Send tab, this is where you're going to send agreements. So you can see where you place your recipients, the recipient signing order. You can add a message if you want to, and include files. And then over here, we've got options that you can protect your document. So you can password protect. You can also set a completion deadline, same reason as I mentioned before. You can also set reminders. So the main tenet is you want to keep business moving forward here, and there's can often be that one person who is a little bit just slow to make things happen. So you can give them a gentle nudge every week, every day, every business day, every other day or third or fifth day, just to keep business moving forward. And I'll go through this when I do a signing ceremony. Under the Manage tab, this is where you're going to be able to manage all of your agreements. So unless you purposefully set up Acrobat Sign to not house your agreements, all of your agreements are going to be accessible here, whether they're in progress, whether they're waiting for you to sign, whether they've been completed, canceled, expired, or in draft form. So if you have a completed document, you can open that document. You can always download a PDF and save it locally, and you can also download an audit report, which I'm going to show you also. Now, continuing on the left-hand side here, you can also get access to all the templates that you've made, any web forms that you've created, or any bulk sends. Now, under the Reports tab, you can generate reports, and they can be reporting on activity for your organization. It can be for specific groups or specific users. So you can get a really quick snapshot of what your report is, and then scroll down and get to the specifics. You can also edit a report or create a new report, and then change the filters that you want to report on. So maybe I want to just filter by a particular user, see what they're up to. You can certainly do that, or by a group. And you can also filter by a few other parameters here, and then graph and play with your animation a little bit. So I'm going to cancel that. Okay, now moving to the Account tab. This is money. Okay, this is where you're going to establish that behavior for Acrobat Sign within your organization. And only account administrators are going to be able to even see this tab. So you'll set all of your global settings. Moving down here on the left side, you can set your signature preferences, any digital identity, security settings. There are a massive amount of information here that you can do. You can also view any workflows that you've created. And then down here under Acrobat Sign, you can get a lot of comprehensive information on our API. So the flexibility here under the Account tab, it is tremendous. It allows you to set up behaviors globally or for specific groups. And I do want to touch on groups a little deeper because often a school or university is going to have different use cases. So you can create different groups representing different departments, for example, and then those groups can have totally different experiences and permissions set for them. So then their behavior is different. So if I click on this default group, I can go to the group settings and I can check this box. What that means is I'm going to override the global settings and I'm going to establish a separate behavior for this group. So you've got a lot of flexibility. Now going back to the Home tab, you can also request signatures from the Home tab here or start a signing ceremony from your library. In your library, you can find some templates that you've created. You can also find any workflows that have been created with one of two ways. One with our workflow designer or two with our Power Automate integration. And then down at the bottom in the home page, you've got quick links to many of those functions. Okay, so that's a quick overview of the UI. And now I want to put a couple of these features into practice and show you a simple signing ceremony. And a signing ceremony just involves sending an agreement out for legal signatures and then storing that final agreement in your Acrobat Sign account. So I'm going to go to my Send tab. I'm going to send this out to James T., my coworker. And now I can have James authenticate with his email or with a password that I set. I can have James answer some questions to make sure that he is who he says he is. I can also have him authenticate on his phone, or if he has an Acrobat Sign account, he can authenticate with that. Today, we're just going to leave James an email. And the message I'll leave as it is, but I am going to attach a file. So I'll come here to my files, and I'm going to grab this. And I'm not going to set any of these options, but we know that they're there. But down here at the bottom, I do want to preview and add signature fields. So I'm going to hit Next. So what's happening now is Acrobat Sign is processing this document, and it gives me the ability as a sender to do two things. One, this is an NDA document, so I might want to put my eyes on it and just make sure that these terms are the terms that I thought they were going to be. Also, you'll see in this blue bar, this is a notification from Adobe's artificial intelligence, Adobe Sensei. And it's saying, hey, I see some fields down here. They look like they could be form fields, but they're not fillable. Do you want me as Adobe Sensei to fill those in? Well, I'm all about animation. So I'm going to say yes. With one click, there's your fields. Now, I do have the option to come over to the right-hand menu, and I can drag in those same types of fields. So we've got signature fields, signer information fields, additional data fields, more fields, which I love that name. So what that means really is that you can add file attachment or hyperlinks, and then transaction fields. I know I want to get rid of that. Now down here, this is the work that Sensei did, but I want to double click on each one of these so I can show you what that looks like. This is assigned to James T., as we're glad. Here's the signature type, and you can see that it says signature. That relates to the signature fields over here, and it's required that James does sign this. So I'll hit OK. Now under these two, I'm going to double click. It just says text input. I want it to say name, because what that means is when James signs, the name and also the date here, these are going to auto-populate. So less work for anyone to do on the back end. All right, so this looks pretty good. I'm going to send now, but take note here. I could say this is a template if I wanted to. Templates are great. As I mentioned, make it once, keep on using it. So today we're not going to do that. I'm just going to hit send. Okay, so I get this notification as the sender that says this has been sent out successfully. It'll also come to my email, which should pop up in a moment or two. Now, this is going out to James. James is never around, but James is always on his tablet. So what happens now is James will get a notification in his email. The signature is requested. He does not have to download anything, does not have to install anything, only has to have that email address. So when he hits the blue review and sign button, it'll come up in a moment. There it is. So here's the NDA. James can go through all of this, and then he can place his signature. So when I tap the blue bar, I can see 3 different ways I have that James can sign. So James can sign with his finger. James is terrible at that, so am I, so we're not going to do that. Also, James can upload an image of his signature, or today, James can just type in his name. So now I'll just hit apply. I'll hit finish, and then hit that blue tap to sign button. And now James is done. So James gets this notification in his email also that he's all set, and he can download a copy of that signed agreement. Now, me as a sender, I also get an email notification that that document has been completed. So I can go into my completed documents and I can open it up. So I want to open up the agreement. I want to make sure that James has signed it. He did. And notice that his name and date did auto-populate. He didn't have to do anything. I could download this locally, but it is saving in my Manage tab. And I also can download an audit report. So I'm going to do that and show that to you real quick. Audit reports are great. Here it is. And the reason why is they show you every single step of the signing ceremony, no matter how many signers you've got. So here I can see that it was created, then it was emailed to the recipient, James, viewed, signed by James, and then it was completed. And then up here, I can see my transaction ID or a register ID. Anyway, there's a couple ways you can, a couple terms for this number. Now up here at the top in this blue bar, this is your money shot. Okay, this is saying that this is a certified legal document. So that means that this signed document is going to be able to legally hold up in any court of law. And I can also go to my signature panel. I can validate my signatures. Just cancel that. And one thing I always like to point out is this little tiny lock up here. As I always mention, security is important to you. It's important to us also. So if I want to know about security, I can hit permission details here, and I can drill down a little bit and take a look at them. But the one I'll point out for you today, because it's my favorite, changing the document, not allowed. So that means that the integrity of this document is going to hold up for all time. Okay, so that is a lot to go over. And I've covered a lot in a short period of time, I know that, but I really wanted to show you how easy it is to use the Adobe Admin Console to give your end users permissions to use Acrobat and Acrobat Sign, and then show off some of the most commonly used features in Acrobat, whether you're working on your desktop version, your mobile version, or on a web version. And then lastly, I wanted to cover some of these basic features of Acrobat Sign. Talk about the commonalities that it has with Acrobat, but also the differences. So both of these applications can work independently, but when they're working synergistically, they will give you a complete ecosystem for your digital document workflows and your e-signatures. And with that, I'm going to turn this back to Tony.
Wow. Terrific. Thank you, Alex. I hope everybody enjoyed that those demos as much as I did. Every time I see Alex do that demo, I pick up a little nugget of knowledge and use it to explain with my clients. And so hopefully you got enormous value out of that. You got to see the administrative console. You got to see Acrobat, and you got to see Sign together with a large number of configuration elements. We've been getting a lot of questions, and so we're excited that you all are paying attention to that piece of it. So what we'd like to do now is to chat with you a little bit about things that you can do as next steps to continue your education, or to get additional information, or to work with Adobe to provide the additional information for the things that you're doing. Resources available to you are the Getting Started guide, tutorials, workflow templates that show how to do the different workflow automations, and then the administrative overview. couple of you asked about whether or not there were webinars available. I provided some of the webinars earlier on, but we'll in these links you'll be able to get to additional information that will provide you those resources. And if you can't find them, reach out to me, Lista at adobe.com, or your reseller, and we'll get you that information. Okay, so next steps. Again, take a look at those tutorials, take a look at any of the administrative pages that we provide you, use support, check out our on-demand webinars, and if you'd like more information, schedule demos, or to talk specifically about some workflow that you'd like to put up in your institution, reach out. We'd be delighted to help. So we've got a few more minutes. If there are any questions, please populate them in the questions area. If not, feel free again to reach out to anybody on the Adobe team or your reselling partner with questions, and we'd be happy to help out. Thank you again for carving out some time. Thank you for using Adobe products, and we look forward to helping you on your document transformation journey.